55 to 56. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death, but they did not find any. Many testified falsely against him, but their statements did not agree. They cannot all agree on me because they do not live in a world of truth, documents, and evidence. They live in a world of narratives because narratives can be controlled, massages altered completely, and written out of history so no one remembers them. Know this pattern. They always accuse others of what they themselves are guilty of. Their pattern is the pot calling the kettle black. Right now, they are feverishly going through every financial record of every church I led to find anything and everything they can drum up to accuse me for exposing them. Accusations of Andrew Smelly's marking letter. 1. Ron Harding was accused of serving as the personal assistant overseeing Kip McKean's computer and having full access to its contents for years. Having full access for years implies something nefarious years. They provide no proof of this because they cannot. At least the RCW leaders boldly say the allegations against from Kip Kirchner, the attorneys, and recently the world sector leaders, that I was spying on his machine for over a decade. They have a very skilled IT professional running my old cyber ministry. He should give them the proof, and they should disclose that. They don't because they can't, because that did not happen for years. They have lied about this in the shadows for months. 2. The announcement claimed that Ron was aware of Kip's deviant sexual sins but only informed church leaders in March, April of the previous year. This is true from 2017 to 2024. Under duress, I chose to not disclose. I own and acknowledge my decision. From 2013, there was nothing stopping Kip's disciplers, Tony and Talon, the other movement shepherds, or any of the other world sector leaders from getting into his life and following up on what Tony knew happened. According to their doctrine, the WSLs and shepherds are the ones tasked with the discipling of the McKeans, not his computer guy. They did not know because they always position themselves with plausible deniability. During the alleged time frames, they did not do appropriate discipling times like they taught everyone else to do. They spoke a lot about the maturity of self-discipling because none of them were properly discipled. 3. Kip McKean was later dismissed from leadership and disfellowshipped for a lack of repentance. They do not tell the truth about my role in influencing Kip from choosing to resign in their last meeting. Again, they lie. Tell them about the phone calls you received in that last meeting. Again, they lie. Raul does not share how I convinced him to protect the sisters in. Raul does not disclose that I called him right after the first post to tell him it was me. He does not disclose that I explained it was to defend myself against him and his legal team. He does not disclose that I warned him. If you, your leaders, or legal team lie about me, I will post the truth with documents. If RCW lies, I will post. If the persecutors lie, I will post with documents. He knows I have posted a handful of the 20 years of documents and 2.5 million emails, which is filled with heinous, nefarious, and illegal activities that will firmly put all of these cases back in federal court and reopen cases that have actually been dismissed. Raul does not tell everyone that how I advised on his communication with the movement and how he was not in touch with what the average member was experiencing. He apologized 2 Sundays ago, but did not share he was warned by me that he would lose everyone's trust by unilaterally deciding to writing spiritually faltering, which he has now changed to Kip resigned. He did not have the courtesy to say directly that he should have never his Kip's real. Sins from the people he leads. Even this past Sunday, he and I discussed these things. They have been silent about me publicly while they reformed and changed their final narrative about me over time. But the Crown of Thorn Council has heard the changing of narratives trying to contain me. Raul, you delegate the marking to Andrew, which is weak. And Raul, yes, actually do love you and was advising you on things what would hurt the cases against you all the way until the week before my termination. I'm the one who showed love with my actions. Your actions in believing the lie about me and allowing the attorney to guide your decisions is not love from the Lord. You are now lying with them. But you presume to pray for me, Kip, etc., to make it to heaven. That is a statement guided to associate me with Kip, which is something an attorney advises someone to do. 4. Ron allegedly refused to return confidential church documents despite repeated requests from church administrators and legal counsel. This is absolutely true. I will not return the evidence that is in the jurisdiction of the federal government. I have an obligation to protect the hat evidence from people who want to destroy some of it and engage in the spoliation of evidence. 48 hours ago, Patrick Smelly and Cheryl Chin lied to members, telling them the police had B sent to my house on January 28th for theft. I have 4 cameras in front of my home. Not one camera over the last 72 hours has picked up a police car coming in front of our home or to our door. Again, the lie. 5. He was accused of deliberately giving these documents to persecutors online. Yes, when I wound out how I was being framed in the lawsuits, I did what spies do in war all the time. They cross enemy lines, share evidence to stop nefarious activities of their governments. In doing so, I also validated the allegations of many of my brothers and sisters, who I formerly called persecutors. Like the 65 brothers and 84 brothers who disfellowshipped Kip tried to warn all of us, these persecutors have been fighting the battling against this corruption. I do not condone all the ways they have done that, and I'm sure I've made mistakes, but none of us are wrong about what has happened. As a result, Ron was put on sabbatical before being officially dismissed from the ministry. For months, I begged for a sabbatical for months following a medical emergency where his ulcer hemorrhaged. During a second ambulance visit on the same day, I bled to death, flatlining in the ambulance in front of my home. I went on sabbatical for medical reasons. Tim Kernan announced this to the DFW church on November before any posting was made. It was not associated with my and my wife's terminations. Again, they lie. After Raul talked about the Gregory post I did not make, he began by saying, "If you had said something 10 years ago, we would not be in this position." Raul, as you had dug into Kip's life after you and Michael Williamson had to pick Kip off the ground drunk, got a cab, rode with him to his hotel, and made sure he got safely to his hotel, we would not all be in this mess. If you and every world sector leader would have disclosed that Kip 7 Ron visited a sister church in Orlando and allegedly caused confusion and a split in the church split when the Klupeks and a group of 6 were told they were being removed from the membership the night before I arrived. Again, they lie. 8. Ron was also accused of actively recruiting people from his former fellowship to a new online church called Gold Ministries. My first sermon of our online ministry said to everyone that I am not calling anyone out of any church. Again, they lie. Financial misconduct and undermining church contributions. I made a public GoFundMe, and people from Crossroads, Chuck Lucas's old ministry, the ICOC, the ICC, and RCW, how sad it was to see the names and to see they chose their name to be anonymous because they are so afraid of retaliation from their leaders. The people are an amazing church, but they are led by cult leaders, spiritual terrorists, who terrorize weak members and anyone who stands for righteous accountability of anything they do not want the people to know. One person is a very long list of men and women who came. 10. Ron was accused of calling members within the DC church to spread a false narrative while requesting financial support. DC members called me to ask questions. Yes, I called them back, and yes, I told them the truth you hide. Again, they lie. 11. Some members allegedly withheld their church contributions and instead sent funds to Ron out of sympathy. I have not called even one person to ask for financial assistance. We do not collect contribution at our services. Again, they lie. 12. Filing a lawsuit against a church. The announcement stated that Ron filed a lawsuit against a sister church in Dallas. The church leaders described it as frivolous and claimed that it was dismissed for having no merit. 1. The case was dismissed because I never uploaded the evidence. Again, they lie. 2. I am appealing, and the church will win, only because they have an exception because of the First Amendment right to a freedom of religion. 3. I was assured the wrongs were done and applauded by investigators for taking a stand on something I should win, but most likely wouldn't only. Cases before the National Labor Relations Board are not considered traditional lawsuits. Instead, they are administrative proceedings designed to enforce the National Labor Relations Act. When an individual or entity believes there has been a violation of the NLRA, they can file a charge with the NLRB. If the NLRB's investigation finds merit in the charge, a formal complaint is issued, leading to a hearing before an NLRB administrative law judge. The judge then issues a decision and recommended order, which can be appealed to the board in Washington, D.C., nlrb.gov. While these proceedings share similarities with court cases, such as hearings and decisions, they are distinct in that they occur within the NLRB's administrative framework rather than the judicial court system. However, parties dissatisfied with the NLRB's final decision can seek review by petitioning the appropriate U.S. Court of Appeals and ultimately the U.S. Supreme Court, NOV. In summary, NLRB cases are administrative actions focused on enforcing labor laws, and although they can be reviewed by federal courts, they are not classified as lawsuits in the traditional sense. Sources: 13. Church response: marking him as dangerous. The announcement concluded by stating that due to Ron's divisiveness and malicious slander, there was no biblical recourse but to mark him as dangerous to the fellowship. 1. If all of you had acknowledged your sin, confessed it, the people would have forgiven you and we would have moved along. 2. Where are your sin lists? Read before the people. Members were urged not to communicate with Ron through any means. Church discipline was said to extend to those who continued to interact with Ron or support him. Again, they threatened their members. Colossians 3:9-11. Do not lie to each other. The member who gave to my GoFundMe referenced by Andrew in his announcement. After my marking, Patrick Smelly and Cheryl Chin met with the member on 128 under the pretense of helping that member spiritually. 1. They accused the member of acting like a defense attorney for Ron and claimed she was beginning to think and behave like him, warning that this would take out just as it had taken him out. 2. The member was reprimanded for giving Ron money, with both Patrick and Cheryl expressing concern over the member's lack of remorse in doing so. Stated that the member's actions were unwise and independent. The member's child was. That something had happened to the member's conscience. 6. Patrick expressed concern, saying, "I'm concerned about you, and I love you, and I'm grateful for you." 7. They claimed the member's mind had been poisoned, simply because the member sought out the truth about what was happening within the church. They brought up Ron's purchase of a Tesla and accused him of being divisive and publicly criticizing the church. 9. They insisted that the members giving money to Ron was spiritually harmful and could kill someone spiritually. 10. Patrick asserted that Ron and others had fallen away long before they physically left the church. 11. Patrick alleged that Ron bought the Tesla before asking for financial support. 12. Patrick defended a marked letter about Ron, claiming there's nothing wrong with the letter about Ron. 13. Patrick accused Ron of hurting people's faith. 14. They discussed Ron's past actions and alleged that he was flown to Florida to share illegal information. 15. Patrick interrogated the member about the member's trust in Ron. A. Do you trust Ron? B. If you don't know if you trust Ron, then you don't know if you trust Andrew and me. C. If you trusted us, you would not trust Ron. 16. Patrick alleged that A. The police were sent to Ron's house yesterday for theft. B. He pocketed the money in relation to financial. C. Cheryl added that D. Ron took $2,000 and Ken didn't sign off on it. He gave it to his uncle. 17. You can't distinguish between good and evil anymore. 18. A lot of what's online is gossip. 19. You have this weird wishy-washy truth of the scriptures now. For the record, I attempted to contact Andrew to discuss Kip's escalation and everything with Andrew, but he never returned my call, which means everything he and Patrick are sharing about Tracy and I are nothing but narratives without our side of the stories. But they have many sides. Kip's side, Elena's, Kirchner's, Untalon's, And as time went by, the rest of the WSLs, but John, who always recuses himself from these things. I don't believe Corey weighs in either.
Stay focused, the race is not yet won. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true, there's still so much to do. Stay humble, my friend, it's the only way to win. Stay humble, stay true, and you'll see it through. The road to success is long and hard. It's easy to lose sight of who you are, but don't let the accolades go to your head. Stay grounded, stay humble instead. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true, there's still so much to do. The higher you climb, the farther you can fall. Don't let the limelight make you lose it all. Keep your feet on the ground, your head held high. Stay humble, stay hungry, don't ever ask why. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true, there's still so much to do. Pride can be your downfall, don't let it take control. Stay grounded in your purpose, keep your eyes on the goal. The journey's not over, there's still work to be done. Stay humble, stay focused, the race is not yet won. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true, there's still so much to do. Stay humble, my friend, it's the only way to win. Stay humble, stay true, and you'll see it through. The road to success is long and hard. It's easy to lose sight of who you are, but don't let the accolades go to your head. Stay grounded, stay humble instead. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true, there's still so much to do. The higher you climb, the farther you can fall. Don't let the limelight make you lose it all. Keep your feet on the ground, your head held high. Stay humble, stay hungry, don't ever ask why. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true, there's still so much to do. focused, the race is not yet won. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true, there's still so much to do. Stay humble, my friend, it's the only way to win. Stay humble, stay true, and you'll see it through. The road to success is long and hard. It's easy to lose sight of who you are, but don't let the accolades go to your head. Stay grounded, stay humble instead. Stay humble, my friend, remember where you've been. Stay humble, stay true,